Hey everyone! Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic coffee cultures on the entire planet, Turkish coffee. But what is it that makes it so unique? You know the answer? It's probably not what you think.
And right away, we run into this huge puzzle. How on earth did a country that doesn't commercially grow coffee end up creating one of the world's most famous coffee cultures? It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Well, that's what we're going to figure out.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with that coffee paradox, then we'll look at its journey from Mecca to Rome, the art of brewing it, the culture that surrounds the cup, and finally, we'll bust a big myth about the beans themselves.
Okay, first up, the coffee paradox.
So here's the thing you have to get right away. Turkish coffee is a world-renowned culture, not a crop. It's all about the preparation. It really is like giving your name to the honey jar without owning a single bee. It's a fascinating contradiction, and that's what makes this whole story so cool.
So, how did this culture even start? Well, its journey was, let's just say it was wild. We're talking about a seriously controversial history, from Mecca all the way to Rome.
And you can see just how fast things moved. I mean, look at this. In 1511, it gets banned in Mecca, but just a few decades later, it's already in the Ottoman Empire. And by 1551, the very first public coffee house opens. Boom! The whole thing just exploded from there.
So why was everyone so freaked out about it? Well, it wasn't the drink itself, not really. It was the talk. Coffee was treated kind of like a drug or alcohol because these coffee houses became places where people, well, they talked about politics, about society, and that made the powers that be really, really nervous.
But the best story by far comes from Europe. Pope Clement VIII's advisors were begging him to ban this new, suspicious devil's drink. So what does he do? He tries it. And apparently he thought, why is this devil's drink so delicious? His solution? We shall cheat Satan by baptizing it. And just like that, with a blessing from the Pope, coffee was in.
Okay, so coffee survived its wild and crazy youth. But what exactly is the brewing method that makes it Turkish? Let's get into the art of it, because the details, they're everything.
There are basically three things that make this method totally unique. First, it has the world's finest grind. We're talking like a powder. Second, you add the sugar before you even start brewing. And third, and this is the big one, it's the only coffee in the world that's served with its grounds still in the cup.
And that thick, muddy stuff left at the bottom? It actually has a name, Telve. It's not a bug, it's a feature. That sediment is a crucial part of the whole experience. People even use it to tell fortunes.
Now, here's a little secret from a true master, Jamil Usta. Most people say to use cold water, right? Nope. He perfected a method that starts with hot water. You mix the coffee and sugar first, add hot water, stir, add a little more hot water, and then put it on low heat. It sounds backwards, but it gets you that perfect thick foam every single time.
But look, this is way more than just how you make a drink. This is about a cup that's absolutely overflowing with culture, rituals, and meaning. And one of the most incredible rituals revolves around marriage proposals. For a guy hoping to get married, the cup of coffee he's served, well, it's a test, a really big one.
Here's how it works. His potential bride secretly fills his cup with salt instead of sugar. It's his challenge to drink it.
And he has to drink it without flinching, not a single grimace. Why? Because by doing that, he's showing her that he would do anything for her. It's an incredible, silent way to prove his commitment.
And everything that comes with the coffee has a purpose. Here's something most people get wrong. You drink the glass of water before the coffee. It's to cleanse your palate so you can really taste it. Then, you have the Turkish delight after, to sweeten things up. It's all part of the ritual.
All right, so we've got the method, we've got the culture, but what about the actual coffee beans? This brings us to our final section, busting the bean myth.
First, you gotta understand just how much coffee is consumed in Turkey. About 800 grams per person every year. Since they don't grow it, that makes them a huge importer. And where they import it from, that's the key to this whole myth.
So there's this old famous saying, coffee comes from Yemen. And for a long time it did, but the reality today is totally different. Most Turkish coffee you drink is actually made with low-grade Rio Minas beans from Brazil.
So what happened? Why the big switch from traditional Ethiopian and Yemeni beans? Well, it really just comes down to trade issues and price. The Brazilian imports were just way cheaper and more reliable. It's a classic story of economics changing tradition.
So, if you want to taste what authentic, old-school Turkish coffee is really like, here's my advice. Find some that's made with high-quality Ethiopian coffee beans. The flavor is on a whole other level.
And if you need any more proof of how central coffee is to the culture, just look at the language itself. The Turkish word for breakfast is kahvaltı. You know what that literally means? Before coffee. Breakfast is just the warm-up act.
So let's go back to that first question. If the beans aren't actually Turkish, then what is? The answer isn't in the grounds. It's in the story. It's the unique method, the deep cultural rituals, the history. That's what makes it Turkish. It's not about where the beans were grown. It's about the centuries of culture brewed right into every single cup.